You are the spouse of a seemingly normal person, but you are cheating on them with the world's strongest superhero, not knowing they are the same person. Their arch-nemesis won't stop trying to eliminate you because they think your spouse deserves better. Helios. That's what the man had called himself since his first act of heroism. At first, everyone assumed it was just some Hollywood publicity stunt. Then that young adult in the orange hoodie caught the truck that nearly slammed into a coffee shop I was in. I think that's the day I fell in love with him. That's also the day I met the other love of my life, Albert Sonnenkind. He was a barista in that coffee shop. I kept coming to that coffee shop, not for the slightly burnt coffee or too sweet muffins, but for him and his smile. It took 2 weeks until I got the courage to ask him out. After that, we were steady for a few years. He was clumsy as one could be, always showing up with new bruises and scrapes. He always ran late, not in a bad way, but a cute way, like a puppy trying its best but still falling down. But even as I was falling deeper in love with Albert, I kept running into Helios. And the day after Albert purposed some villain came about trying to destroy the city, Madame Celine, she called herself. That night after Madame Celine had thrown me from a skyscraper's roof, he caught me and I kissed him. He seemed surprised but relived and kissed me back. He whispered to me so very softly, "I love you, my darling star." And I am ashamed to admit it. But I had sex with him that night. Albert didn't come home for a few days. Turns out he got pretty banged up in that villain attack. Guilt almost killed me then and there. When he did come home, he looked at me like I had hung the sun and stars into the sky. And that night, as he held me close, I was sure he would notice the love marks on my neck. The dark must have hid them well. It kept going on like that for a year or so. Albert had to have figured out I was cheating on him. He started staying out later and returning home ruffled. But no matter what, he still looked at me like I was divine to him. I was holding an angel in my sinful hands. Albert's sister always hated me. We met at the wedding, and she looked at me like I was trash stuck to her boot. But I tried to keep a polite facade. Albert would always say, "Luna just takes a while to warm up to people. She'll love you, I guarantee it." I think she could tell I was cheating on him. A month after the wedding, Madame Celine showed up again. She seemed to be targeting me specifically, but Helios would always save me. And every time he saved me, we shared a bed. And every time Albert would come home late, a bit bruised up form, volunteering at a boxing gym on the other side of the city. And that's how it stayed for years. Madame Celine attacks me. Helios saves me. I share a bed with him and come back to my the wiser husband. The husband who I can only assume stayed loyal. He always seemed so happy to see me again, and I always gave him a smile. I still love Albert, Lord above, I do. But I just can't resist it. It was the night of our 5th anniversary that everything came crashing down. Madame Celine once again attacked, but this time it seemed to be focused purely on me. And while I was getting ready for our dinner date, I was grabbed and bagged, tied to a radio tower just outside of the city. It was a 20-minute drive from our wedding venue. Once again, Helios showed up, a radiant smile on his face. He swapped from the hoodie a year or two into his career, now an orange aviator jacket, still with that distinct hood. "Celine, you know I love these bouts we have, but I have plans with a certain special lady in about 2 hours. So how about you just untie the kind reporter over there and slink off to your lair of doom?" Before either of them could react, a silver revolver was leveled against my temple. "That's the problem, Helios. You may not know, but this harlot is my sister-in-law, and she's been cheating on my dear brother for nearly 5 years now. Of course, a shining beacon like yourself wouldn't understand something so human as revenge. But this woman has been using you to warm her bed while her husband's away helping the... Luna?" For the first time, Helios looked confused. Pulling down his hood and half-mask, auburn hair fell to his shoulders. The man who stared forth was Albert. "Luna, is that you? Is this why you said I should leave Aurora?" The silence was deafening. before Madame Selena pulled off masquerade mask that had become her face to me. You were Helios this entire time, you dang brat. All of the panache and class seemed to leave as Luna dived toward her younger brother. I thought you knew. I wasn't exactly subtle. Helio. Albert said as he tried to backpedal away from her. I thought everybody knew and was just being polite. You thought I knew? Came a woman's voice. My voice.